Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn, and the final episode of Event Comics Month 5, Secret Crusade of the Dark Convergence. We're finally here, the episode that people have been wanting me to do for years now. And the one episode of this theme month that I have been dreading. Yes, even Secret Wars 2 I had been looking forward to covering, as much of a slog as that review ended up being. Infinity Crusade and Convergence were comics I'd read before, the latter being one that I followed closely at the time of its release. As I said when we covered Dark Knight's Metal, there came a point where I stopped actively following comics anymore. The cost of it, the events I had zero interest in, screwing over the team I wanted to read and was enthusiastic about, it all became too much. I didn't like Metal, not because it was bad, but it represented a kind of storytelling I wasn't interested in anymore. Massive, unnecessary lore dumps and expansions on things that didn't need expansion or were poorly explained. For instance, the Dark Multiverse. The multiverse to me has always been more a sci-fi concept rooted generally in scientific ideas. Sure, made up stuff, but based on ideas that were plausible. But then the Dark Multiverse comes along and suggests there's a quasi-mystical, or at least metaphysical aspect of it, and my brain could just not link what they were trying to say. The commenters did a better job of it than the books did. And thus, while Metal was perfectly fine, it was not a story I felt like revisiting. But oh, did people want and need me to visit it, because it was all leading to today's comic, the sequel, Dark Knight's Death Metal. This got a ton of votes in the last Event Comics month, even before I had talked about the sequel. And I know various reasons why they wanted me to do so. It's confusing, it's jam-packed with irrelevancies and meta-commentary, but biggest of all, well, a return of a certain someone who we'll get to. And the thing about the confusion of it, upon reading it from start to finish for this review, is that it's not really that confusing, as long as you understand a few core elements of it. The problem is, this comic assumes you already understand those elements. However, allow me to compare this to two other events we've done before, House of M and Flashpoint. Part of the confusion of this book is that it features a remade world with a different history than what came before. Thing is, in those events, while the universes were different, they were close enough to recognizable for the reader to understand generally what was going on. Our initial viewpoint characters, Wolverine and Barry Allen respectively, acted as audience surrogates as they were just as confused about everything as we were. Death Metal isn't like that. The world is changed into this hyper-imaginative, unrecognizable, post-apocalyptic, neo-medieval, bizarre, fantastical nightmare realm where a ton of stuff has happened, and our viewpoint character, in this case Wonder Woman, has been living in it, knows it's wrong, but isn't confused by it beyond, oh hey, this is wrong and I'm gonna fix it. This story bombards you with weird-ass concepts and ideas that leave you scratching your head wondering, wait, when did that happen? When the truth is, oh, it all happened in a tie-in issue, easily overlooked, and it doesn't actually matter. This is not helped by the fact that there was a ton of build-up to this event that frankly wasn't all that interesting in my opinion. Most prominent of this was Year of the Villain, which was technically an event, but in that way that doesn't qualify for Event Comics Month. No central miniseries. Instead, it's a massive crossover storyline, and one that I completely ignored. The thing is, DC has done multiple Year of the Villain kind of things before. Big promotional pushes for a few months that are all, ooh, we're focusing on supervillains for a bit. We'll rename regular titles, do some one-shots, show off dark and evil people, and tell their stories again. So I didn't realize it was actually meant to be a thing that was going to lead into death metal. It's not that it's very important, but it prominently featured one of our main villains for this story, Perpetua, or as I like to call her, Queen Retcon, both for her existence and for what her whole deal is. I mentioned her back in the Dark Knight's Metal review. We'll be getting some of her backstory again in this comic itself, but as a reminder, writer Scott Snyder made Perpetua as a being who created the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and that third figure in Metal, the World Forger. This is despite the fact that her existence is incompatible with the established histories of the Monitor and Anti-Monitor from the original Crisis, their goals and concepts and etc. But then again, both of them kept getting retcons added on top of retcons, like the Anti-Monitor actually being Mobius of Metron's chair fame, or the multiple monitors of "we should do something" fame. But yeah, let's take the simple concepts that were already getting strained by other unnecessary retcons and add on, oh, by the way, they have a mom who is actually the real threat. In the pages of Scott Snyder's Justice League book, Perpetua was apparently sealed away in the Source Wall, but was freed after the events of Dark Knight's Metal, where she was empowered by Lex Luthor, and they did the whole Year of the Villain thing, wherein Luthor served as her right-hand man, until the Batman Who Laughs got involved and was like, but what if you let me be your right-hand man instead? And thus leading into where we are in death metal. By the by, there was also Dark Crisis recently, where they suggested another force was behind Perpetua, because at this point, the real Infinite Crisis is DC infinitely jerking itself off over its own event history and reboots. I should note, I sound like this event angers me, and it doesn't. I actually like it a lot more than the original Metal, but a lot of it is an exercise in excess, almost as if it was playing out as the final story of the DC universe, trying to tie together as many events and aspects that came before it, but for no good reason. Maybe if they had saved this for 2025, made this the 40th anniversary story for Crisis, like Convergence had been the 30th, I'd be a little more forgiving of that aspect, but instead it just feels like a big ol', why did we need this exactly? If this was the finale to the DCU, sure, but it's just some random event that's also a sequel to Metal? And of course things continue afterwards? I don't know what I'm supposed to really take away from it other than, well, that was kinda neat. I just wish it hadn't interrupted everything else going on. But we should get going here. Let's dig into Dark Knight's death metal and close Event Comics Month 5. Reading from a trade, 7 issues, no looking at the covers, though once again they're just kind of meh. We open with, of all people, the DC war character Sergeant Rock, who I don't think we've ever really talked about before. There isn't a lot to say other than for some reason the character keeps coming back, and like other continuity retcons in the DCU, it's unclear if he actually survived World War II or not due to creator intentions versus what actually ends up happening. And for some reason, he is serving as our narrator for this story. Huh! Well, look at this. I told him you'd show. Didn't expect you'd be naked, but I still won the bet. An off-screen voice implies that he took a hit and is just seeing things when it comes to talking to the reader. Keep your trunks on, Flyboy. We gotta be straight with them. Let them know what they're getting into. Truth is, it's rough out there. What's in continuity anymore? Who's dead and who's alive? Hell, we could have been integrated into the Marvel universe at some point, and no one would notice. Stuff is weird right now. It's like you're at the drive-thru and out comes your juicy half-pounder on one of them nice French buns, curly fries too, and you take a bite and wham! Turd. Guest writer Frank Miller, everybody. And the guy inside, he's smiling, saying no refunds. So here we are, no warning, no reason, in a new world of turds. Probably not a good idea to start your big event comic by evoking the image of crap. Now maybe I am seeing things out there, but what I see are soldiers. Turd soldiers! Everything is poop! So you'll listen to Uncle Rock, put your car in park, take that hot, steaming turd burger, and shove it down that guy's throat!
There is logic in what he says.
Why? To show him, show 'em all, we're still here, we're fighting back, and we're gonna have some f***ing fun doing it! Hoorah! And he whips out a huge futuristic gun. Guest artist Rob Liefeld, everybody. We truly open in hell, aka Themyscira. Ah, so we're in the middle of Amazon's attack then. No, the caption confirms that this is formerly Themyscira, and that this is indeed the real DC Universe. Wonder Woman is forging the Chainsaw of Truth, which, yes, is awesome, but is approached by her confidant and friend, Alec Holland, aka Swamp Thing. Although at this point, he's apparently Twig Thing, given how reduced he looks. Alec informs her that he is arriving with a prisoner, and we can later see that she's in charge of jailing supervillains, and not just killing them for reasons we'll explain later. We also learn that many superheroes, and the Amazons, are currently imprisoned elsewhere and bound to antennae elsewhere. Diana is working on something to solve what's going on, but in the meantime, she's confronted by two guys in Batman suits. And a T-Rex in a Batman suit. They order her to put their prisoner in the pits, and if she doesn't comply, it'll be the Amazons who go in. Speak of my sisters again, reptile. Reptile? I am Batman, same as the others on my world. Bruce uploaded his consciousness into the robot dinosaur in the last moments before the cave collapsed on him, and so on. I've heard it all before. Doesn't make you Batman. Yes, it does! Can you seriously look at me, a robot T-Rex Batman, and not say that I am the greatest Batman who's ever lived? Can you throw batarangs with those tiny arms? They're proportional, and I am working on it! I've got other important things to do, Diana, like finding a way to do a mashup of a Batman theme and the Jurassic Park theme. That way I can play it when I attack people. She's also informed that their lord has summoned her and the rest of the Justice League for a meeting. Diana spots who it is that they've captured and is shocked. But enough of that. Time for narration more in the vein of what we're used to with Scott Snyder, infusing Gotham City with stories and history. In this case, it's an old field which used to be the site of a battle in the Revolutionary War, of a bunch of rebels who had hidden in the caves underneath it, but were all murdered by the British and left in shallow graves. And that leads us to who their lord is, the Batman who laughs, and his Justice League is made up of Harley Quinn, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Mr. Miracle, all in charge of various areas, but also supervised by an evil Batman like we saw in the first medal. A Batman who became like Darkseid is supervising Mr. Miracle, who reports that Superman has almost succumbed to anti-life by apparently being on an exercise bike. Anti-life justifies 10 more minutes on here! As said in the intro, Laughing Boy is working for Perpetua, and he reports that only 8 Earths remain of the original 52 universes. The rest have been conquered or destroyed. During this, though, Diana is soon contacted by the real Batman via the Martian Manhunter's psychic link. She had reported that she was under orders to melt down the invisible jet, and he wants her to construct armor from its metal, that its magical properties could hide a team that could help liberate a single world that they can use to hide out on. Diana, though, is thinking big picture, and that they need to free every world, not just hide in a single one. However, they admit that they don't actually fully remember how things got like this, a final battle that now led to things as they are. Turns out Batman is actually hanging out nearby and shoots an explosive arrow at his laughing counterpart, but his Robin gremlins jump in the path of the thing to protect him. Bruce, is that you? Let me guess, you're wearing the cloak of erasure, given to us by Zatanna that time we saved her father from Naren. Nah, actually in my universe, Alfred accidentally wrecked that thing. To be fair to him though, how was he supposed to know it was dry clean only? Come on, I know you. You know me.
You don't know Batman. I'm actually the Batman from Batman v Superman. Check out my awesome post-apocalyptic coat.
Nice coat. You look like someone here to kill me and dance on my grave. Lucky for me, you don't kill.
I don't dance either, but I'd make an exception in your case. I challenge you to a DDR match to save the multiverse. Barring that, who can do the Bat-Tusi better?
The Batman Who Laughs summons up a bunch of his alternate universe Batmen to kill our hero. However, he has a secret weapon at his command. A Black Lantern ring, which he uses to summon up the dead Revolutionary War rebels. I'm sure this is explained in a tie-in, but otherwise that is not how the Black Lantern ring is supposed to work, but whatever. Making sense is not the purpose of this story. As Batman withdraws, he tells Diana that they need to win small battles, preserve what's left as opposed to any more big, reckless, dangerous plans.
It's how we keep losing, damn it! Please think strategically!
Lest you think we were done with the typos from the last episode, and that was in the deluxe edition, by the way. He leaves an undead Jonah Hex to handle things, but meanwhile we cut to deep space. A planet called Ossex, which is made of living bone. And on it is the main man himself, Lobo, who digs up something from under its surface, reporting to an unknown benefactor about his success. Later, Wonder Woman decides that enough is enough and goes down into the pit to talk to their new prisoner. Swamp Thing says that this will likely attract the attention of the Batman Who Laughs, but she says she has to risk it, warning him to run while he can.
I will be here when you return, ready to fight beside you best I can. I mean, maybe you can, throw me at him, or he can trip over me or something.
Inside the pit, which, as pointed out, is the deepest level of hell and therefore a cold wasteland, it's revealed that the prisoner is Wally West, still kinda sorta possessing the power of Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen that I mentioned at the end of the Heroes in Crisis review. You'd think having that power would make him nigh unstoppable, but I don't think a lot of other DC writers quite get Dr. Manhattan. It's something we'll talk about when we eventually get to Doomsday Clock. I have plans for Doomsday Clock is all I'm saying. I play the long game. Longer game even, given the schedule slip-ups. As mentioned, she doesn't remember how the battle against Perpetua went, and so she asks him to help her understand what happened. I remember us all fighting Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs. I remember harnessing some blue energy like the one emanating from you now, and Perpetua using an opposing power. I had the power of blue raspberry, and her the power of cherry. Then I remember nothing until evil Batmen were swarming the earth. Tell me, what happened? Marketing, Diana. Batman is the most popular one, so with that power, he took over everything. First up, he apologizes for everything that's happened to him since Heroes in Crisis. If I could erase everything I've done, I would. I'm so tired, Diana. I just want to be me again. I just want to be me. Has anyone been happy with the creative choices around me since then? Why do they keep insisting on this crap when nobody has been happy about it? She gives him a moment to rest after all that's happened, but now it's time for our big exposition dump. And woo boy, this is a lot, so try to keep up. It is both unnecessarily meta, but also relatively straightforward when it's actually gone into. Wally explains that at the heart of existence are two opposite poles. Every positive force of energy in existence, like the speed force, the emotional spectrum, etc., are connective. They link people to other people and to their own pasts, reminding us we are part of one epic generational story. On the other side are the negative forces, anti-life, chaos magic, anything that takes instead of gives and are based around selfishness and greed and etc. Although avarice is part of the emotional spectrum, so I don't know how that works then. These negative forces, this opposite pole, can be called crisis energy. Crisis energy looks to shatter connection and make only one moment important. There is only now, there is only us, there is only me. Dark Knight's death metal posits that big, universe-shattering crossover events that reboot the universe are only focused on the event, the greediness of tie-in issues, and only caring about the event now, and not the negative impact it will have on the universe later. And its villains are always selfish, greedy, and with motivations that end up breaking the connections between characters through unnecessary drama, resetting character relationships through retcon or reboot, or just making people assholes. So, have you noticed the problem with delivering that message in the big crossover event with a crap ton of tie-ins and a quasi-reboot? I'm not mad about that, just that it's a little little hypocritical to be delivering that message in this way. You're critiquing the very thing you are. The tagline of death metal is that it's an anti-crisis, but no, it's still a crisis. It's still an event. Maybe it was just a single miniseries with no ultimate consequences, but by its nature in the DC universe, it kinda needs to be that to deliver its message and have any actual impact. To circle back to Doomsday Clock for a second, despite its impact on the DC universe, I don't count it as an event comic because it lacks tie-in issues. That plus its delays meant that despite it being a major event in universe, it doesn't contain the same punch to it that a proper company-wide crossover event has. Like, I get what you're going for. I think it's a bit of an unnecessary retcon to say that stuff like the emotional spectrum and Speed Force are connected, but I get what you mean from a meta perspective and all. I'm just saying, hi Pot, my name is Kettle. Did you notice how you're black? So what's Perpetua's deal then? As said, she's a powerful cosmic being who's the mother of the Monitor and Anti-Monitor. Her species, referred to in this story as the Hands, are tasked with creating multiverses. They're supposed to use positive energy to do this and then die, giving themselves to the baby multiverse. Perpetua, however, is a complete asshole who created the DC multiverse using crisis energy. Her goal was to create a multiverse with no memory, one that would live forever in a self-renewing loop of its own importance. Again, a bit of head tilting here because you're suggesting that the events are just an example of the company's arrogance and self-importance while doing a story about how the DC universe is great and is kind of jerking itself off over all its big crisis events. But yeah, the idea was that the DC multiverse would prey on others and absorb them, and they'd worship her for all this. When her kind found out what she had done, they began our reality over and trapped her in the source wall, in the hopes that eventually, by watching our growth, she might learn to love us. Kinda sad and existentially horrifying, really, that this implies that the DC universe wasn't made by God, but the devil. She was unmoved by the DCU's growth and instead whispered into the multiverse, influencing beings to create crises and appeal to their own greed. And I'm happy that this is a subtle thing, because when I heard Perpetua was behind all the various crises, I thought that meant she was some grand puppet master manipulating all those events, when this is suggesting that she was just trying to foment any chaos and was her lashing out at everything. Mind you, I also don't know why the Hands didn't get more involved after the first crisis, given it destroyed the multiverse and condensed it down to one universe, but I digress. As said in the intro, the events of Dark Knight's Metal freed her from the Source Wall, and Lex Luthor nursed her back to health. Not long ago, a being from another reality, brimming with connective energy, Dr. Manhattan, tried to mend the fractures in our multiverse, to heal the scars of former crises. That is not at all what happened in Doomsday Clock, Wally. I think you're remembering things wrong. Sure, he says that the attempt did not have the intended effect, again being meta concerning how DC Rebirth and Doomsday Clock were supposed to be leading to a healed DC universe, but it just ended up being another mess, but still, that was not his intention in that story. Point is, before this event, the final battle they mentioned, Wonder Woman harnessed the collective energy of all that connective force, while Perpetua gathered together all the crisis energy, and the two battled. And it basically ended in a tie, but with Earth's sun burnt out in the process, and the energy's exhausted. However, the Batman Who Laughs made the deal with Perpetua, giving her a conduit to the dark multiverse and gaining power that way. Since it's an eternal nightmare realm where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong and all, the crisis events are constantly still happening. I don't know how that works when, those crises destroyed or rebooted the multiverse, but whatever. Consequently, that's why Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs are keeping everyone prisoner instead of just outright killing them all. The Dark Multiverse, because it's drawn from their nightmares and memories, needs these people to be alive to continue existing. As such, Diana has a plan. Maybe we can beat her at her own game. What if we re-enter those crises and harness that energy for ourselves? Use it to reshape the universe in our own way. Instead of a Batman-focused DC universe, I'm making this a Wonder Woman-focused one! This plan, dubbed by the Batman Who Laughs as an anti-crisis, yeah, he just shows up out of nowhere, is definitely a good one, and he admits that he has his own plans. He tells Wendy that he absolutely promises to give them and the rest of the captive heroes their own world once his plans are finished, as long as she stays out of his way. Attempt to oppose him, and he'll torture them in unimaginable ways. However, she's not interested in any deals with him, so immediately pulls out the chainsaw of truth to utterly destroy him. At first I was confused why we couldn't see it in the splash page, but then oh, right, it's made from parts of the invisible plane. It's invisible, so we can't detect it, though we do see it a few times later, so what? Unfortunately, it turns out this was part of his plan, as Wonder Woman's handler reveals. Issue 1 ends with the reveal that Batman is actually pulling in Sergeant Rock with their final battle of the story, and that he's missing his lower half. We begin issue 2 with our heroes arriving outside what used to be Washington, D.C., driving... well, I'll let him introduce himself.
You may have severed my brainstem, but I am Batmobeast. In a world of genius machines, I rose to dominance. And no, I can't transform into a giant robot. Batbot Changer is a totally different universe.
Swamp Thing finishes the thing off with a joke, and Wendy reveals why they're here. Valhalla Cemetery, or the Crypt of Heroes as it's also called. It's the secret resting place of many fallen superheroes and guarded by a rotating staff of custodians. I was worried that when Perpetua rearranged the world for the Batman Who Laughs, landmarks like this were lost, but it seems everything is still intact. If you get a chance, go check out the Statue of Liberty. He replaced it with the statue of Waluigi, and it is pretty funny. They're attacked by something resembling Cerberus, but made of green energy, and she gives the password, Munkle. But it's revealed that it's actually Mahunkle, and we can see the current Guardians are the remaining members of the Justice Society. Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, Wildcat, and Dr. Fate. Tell me you still remember me, Jay.
I'll never forget you again, kid. Bring it in.
And tell me there won't be a stupid event comic that ruins this heartfelt reunion, and yes, I'm still complaining about Heroes in Crisis. It's legitimately that bad! Batman is there as well, along with Jonah Hex, who I guess escaped the earlier battle. He's getting ready to use the Black Lantern ring in his possession to resurrect a bunch of heroes to join in their attack on Castle Bat and free the captured heroes. He berates Wendy over her killing the Batman Who Laughs, saying he's just going to evolve into some new nightmare and it's forcing him to accelerate his own plans. He still intends to save who he can and leave it at that, but Wendy says that this is their chance. Save all the fallen Earths and start something new. And that it seems unlike him to have given up on the larger goal, but he says that there's no hope for anything else. They keep reaching higher for bigger goals, bigger ways of solving their problems, and it keeps blowing up in their faces. Them using the 10th metal armor together in Dark Knight's metal just resulted in the source wall breaking. Trying to fight Perpetua in their final battle just resulted in the messed up world and everyone either captured or transformed into monsters.
And you're talking about trying something even crazier. I'm looking for practical solutions here, Diana. Now, back to me picking out people to resurrect as zombies to attack a superhero prison.
Wendy says that she once asked him why he chose bats as his theme, but while he gave the standard explanations for it, Alfred had a different answer, that bats are the only mammal that flies. Batman is about teaching people to aspire past what seems possible, as long as you have lots of money. Bat still isn't convinced, and Wonder Woman doesn't have time for this, so walks off. But Swamp Thing and Jonah Hex are able to turn him around on it. She explains her plan about going into the dark multiverse and collecting crisis energy from the universes where the original 3 crises, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, and Final Crisis, are still happening. In turn, they'll funnel that energy into Wally West, who in his current form can use it to destroy Perpetua and help restart the multiverse again. They summon Barry Allen for help, who admits that there's not much of the Speed Force left. He burnt out a lot of it attempting to time travel and undo this mess, but it's not working. However, they plan to use him to go to New Apokolips and free the rest of the trapped heroes. Meanwhile, it turns out the Batman Who Laughs is getting his brain transplanted into Dr. Manhattan's body. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's not the Dr. Manhattan, but rather a Bruce Wayne who became something like him. I don't know how they got that body then, but whatever. Said body is more an energy construct than living flesh, so when they put the Batman Who Laughs' brain inside of him, it's absorbed and he basically gets the same kind of power old Blue Boy had. It takes him a moment, but he does assume the power, and from here on out, he's referred to as the One Who Laughs instead. However, he also kills the T-Rex Batman, which proves what a truly awful person he is. Perpetua summons him to inform him that she's conquered another of the remaining Earths. Only 6 are left. She says she knows he's planning on something duplicitous, but reminds him why trying to betray her would be bad. If her kind detects something wrong, like her suddenly getting destroyed by him, they're gonna notice what's going on and intervene. And they are much, much worse than her.
The layers of retcons they can inflict on us are unimaginable!
The One Who Laughs destroys all his minions save for a single one of his Robins because he's an asshole.
All of them were admirably vicious, yet wanting. But in you I sense a darkness. Tell me your story, child. I'm Elon Musk's secret Twitter account where he roleplays as a child given life. Yes, that's seriously a thing he did, look it up!
Whatever he says, Laughing Man is suitably impressed and makes him into his Robin King. But in the meantime, they have work to do.
Diana seeks to renew the multiverse, rebuild it from scratch. Well, so do I. But I will build something never seen before. 52 planets of nightmare. Beautiful in their horror.
He says that, but I bet he gets bored and runs out of ideas after the 4th one, and it's just an ever-increasing string of disappointing sequels until the eventual reboot of the franchise. Also, isn't that already what the Dark Multiverse is supposed to be? He also reforms himself into his final form, the Darkest Knight. Still confused why this event isn't called Dark Knights with a K? Our heroes break into an old bunker created by Batman that houses a bunch of robots and machines the Toy Master made, which apparently includes recreations of the Dark Knight's Metal League of Evil Batman? Why? But yeah, they need transportation to New Apokolips, and Batman has just the thing. Sergeant Rock narrates that in a war like this, you can't have a mindset of fighting to claim every hill. You need to make big statements, big battles, and most importantly, use psychological warfare to make sure your enemy knows you're coming. As such, our heroes fly off in a giant robot shaped like a composite of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And if DC never made a toy of this, then they are bigger fools than I ever thought. Anyway, on to issue 3. The composite robot has crash-landed on New Apokolips, where they use Jonah Hex to lure in a bunch of evil Batmen, and then self-destruct the thing to take them out. The rest of our heroes proceeding to free their comrades. Since this world is run by the Batman who took on the powers of Darkseid, naturally his parademons are all made to resemble Robin. I say this, Bats, even the evil versions of you are damn good at branding.
Anti-life justifies our merchandising, Harley. Speaking of merchandising, did you know that Linkara has keychains and earrings now available in his store, Envy? Just thought I'd mention that.
I mean, it could get tacky. Bats on everything?
Bats are never tacky.
Nice, you should print that on bumper stickers.
I did while you were talking. Alfred, I need some Bat bumper stickers. It's a nightmare world ruled by the Batman who laughs, so capitalism still reigns supreme. Alfred? Oh, right, you're still dead in the comics at the moment.
Swamp Thing, who seems to be losing parts of himself, can sense the birth of the Darkest Night and warns them about this. Meanwhile, in the prison, Superman is being tortured on that exercise bike. What's actually happening is that he's being slowly transformed into Darkseid and exposed to different shades of kryptonite, some of which are unique to the Dark Multiverse. It's a machine that was plucked out of the mind of Mr. Miracle, to his shame, and the Darkseid Batman, known as Darkfather, pontificates about how the truth of ourselves is exemplified by our fears, that our darker halves are our true selves, blah 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 blah. Point is, our heroes break in and try to free Superman, but Mr. Miracle warns them that the machine has already killed too many of his Kryptonian cells. If he stops peddling, he'll be blasted with enough anti-life to permanently transform him into something like Darkseid. This horrific exercise machine that can turn Superman into his worst enemy has been brought to you by Bowflex. Bowflex! Our machines don't do that. Fortunately, Batman has an idea. Darkfather tries to shoot him with a gun designed to work the same way as the beams that sent Bruce back in time during Final Crisis, but this time erase him from history. He shoots Batman, but not only does he survive, but he tells Superman to break free, which he does so. While knocking out Darkfather, he explains, Batman's Black Lantern ring controls dead matter, so he just stopped the dead cells in his body from changing. And he escaped erasure from his history because, magic, I guess.
Bat blocker, I come prepared.
The hell is that supposed to mean? Wouldn't it have been better if he revealed, like, a bulletproof vest with Bat anti-history erasure vest written on it, like the Adam West series or something? Batman and Superman whisper to each other that Wendy doesn't know the truth about either of them at the moment and she needs soldiers. While they free the others, Lobo heads into some weird child's cartoon universe and retrieves another object for his benefactor. On the bad news side of things, a portal opens up in the Crypt of Heroes, revealing the Robin King, who taunts them for a moment before revealing that the Darkest Night is with him. He's there to steal Wally's power, so the three Flashes have no other choice but to run and hope to get away, even though they know this could burn out the Speed Force. Back with the heroes, Wendy explains her plan in more detail. Right now, Perpetua is drawing her energy from crisis worlds in the dark multiverse. We'll lobby the government to punish her for finding her own power source instead of going on the electrical grid like everyone else. She explains how the energy is transmitted via human antennas around the multiverse into her, but they're going to intercept that power and redirect it to Wally West. John Stewart will lead the Green Lanterns in an assault on the antenna. The Martian Manhunter will lead a team to go after Perpetua's throne, where she absorbs said energy. And she, Batman, and Superman will enter the dark multiverse to get at the crisis energy directly. For this, they will need the help of a powerful hero among them who's in his own cell. Jarro! Jarro comes from the pages of Scott Snyder's Justice League book and is an adorable and wonderful concept and something I can definitely get behind. Originating from some leftover cells of Starro the Conqueror, he was grown in a glass jar and has taken Batman to be his father, to the point where this tiny psychic alien starfish wants to become the best Robin. And just to prove how awesome he is, he's attempting to pull an Andy Dufresne in his prison cell.
Because little do you know that behind my poster of Starfire, I've been using my knowledge of apocalyptic rock science and my reversible stomach to tunnel out of this hell.
I'd like to think that the last thing that went through Darkseid's head, other than that bullet, was how in the hell Jarro got the best of him.
Jarro's psychic powers should hopefully block Wonder Woman's team from detection, though they're reluctant about the idea of restarting the multiverse again. Once more meta commentary. I know. And I know all this is the result of our choices and the choices of those we failed. But hear me when I say, regardless of blame or cause, what this universe has become, no one wants this. No one. The problem with this kind of meta commentary, though, is that there are people who want it. Not the fans, mind you. Fans will always have divided opinions about what they want. I complain about the New 52, but there are certainly fans of several books that came out. No, I mean there are creatives and executives who want this. They want stuff like Heroes in Crisis. They think that it's legitimately good drama. They want annual event comics to drive up sales. They want line go higher. They want heroes to die to drum up speculation and interest and buzz and outrage and anything that will drive sales up. And it works! It's not what the fandom wants, but the alternative is to stop buying them altogether, or just sticking to a few titles and not knowing what's going on sometimes in their hobby. And it sucks. Still, I appreciate the commentary from this that admits, let's try to fix this, shall we? Lobo obtains the final object of 5 that he had been sent to retrieve.
Tell me, Chief, what the hell is in here anyway? My Zarnian friend. Open it too soon, and you will regret it. I have a very specific time I intend to give you this engagement ring, Lobo, and I want it to be perfect. And his employer stands revealed in the ruins of the Legion of Doom headquarters. Lex Luthor with a very scarred face. And in those boxes are the death metal. And with them, I will change the story of this universe once and for all. Omegaverse story, here we come!
That brings us to issue 4. Sergeant Rock continues his narration, though that's pretty much all he can do right now in this big battle, because he's been reduced to a desiccated head. I mean, I suppose you could just, throw him at somebody, but if he's rotting away like that, it'd probably be like tossing a moldy watermelon that just collapses upon impact. Rock recaps stuff happening in the tie-ins in between issues. In particular, that our heroes infiltrated Castle Bat to gain access to the Dark Multiverse, but Jonah Hex got jumped by the Robin King, and that while the Trinity succeeded in entering the Dark Multiverse into the 3 crises, it hasn't gone as planned. Batman wakes up in a white void and tries to warn Wundy and Superman to not proceed with the plan.
These worlds, they're all wrong. They're not the crises as we knew them. There are two possibilities of what this white stuff I'm in is, and the second option is only so much better. There's some kind of dark versions.
Yeah, that's what the Dark Multiverse is about, isn't it? Did you guys not remember that? This thin, almost childlike figure appears to him and finishes his sentence, that these are versions of the three crises where the heroes lost, and thus Batman is in a version of Crisis on Infinite Earths where the Anti-Monitor won. That's a great, interesting idea for this! It also makes absolutely no sense! The Anti-Monitor wanted to destroy all positive matter universes. He didn't really have any preference for, evil versions of them. He wanted antimatter to be the winner. Except if he won, then there shouldn't be any other alternate realities out there by definition. And what is this void? Is it supposed to be the wall of antimatter? Because, it's antimatter. That means Batman should have been annihilated by it. Oh, and then there's the appearance of the Anti-Monitor. I'm willing to forgive that he looks nothing like the Anti-Monitor since, hey, it's an alternate reality and all. But I am irritated that he introduces himself as Mobius, continuing that nonsense retcon from the New 52. If they manage to succeed in rebooting the multiverse again at the end of this, can we fix that? Superman has landed in Final Crisis, where he's held down by a bunch of alternate universe Supermen under the thrall of Darkseid. Probably the other Supermen who went with him in the Superman Beyond miniseries. But then where is Mandrak? They revealed at one point that Darkseid doesn't have an alternate universe version of himself in the multiverse. Darkseid just is, and this is indeed him, having ruled this alternate version of Final Crisis for eons now. Oh, and he's enlisted a bunch of superheroes to act as his comfy chair. Green Lantern providing the main chair, while Cassandra Cain and Supergirl are, armrests for him by holding up their arms? This seems wildly uncomfortable to do that for a chair like that. Anyway, he plans to toss Superman into a fire pit to emerge as his final son. But let's jump over to the other big reason people wanted me to cover this comic. For you see, Wonder Woman has arrived in the dark alternate version of Infinite Crisis next to a skeleton. Which means, say hello to Alexander Luthor! Or goodbye, rather. He had no place here. This world is one of hope, of goodness, after all. I can't wait to show it to you, Diana. Whatever you've created here, it's a lie. Superboy Prime. Look, all I'm saying is that everything is better on my Earth because it has more skeletons in it. Wundy and the skeleton are hooked into the Monitor's vibrational tower, and he rambles about, well, you know his spiel by now. Prime, please listen. No! You listen for once! Listen to this world as I listen to yours! First from the antenna you're strapped to, then from my prison in the source wall. For years I listened, and you know what I heard in the voices of your people? Anger! Fear! The ugliest music in the universe! A collab between Drake, Maroon 5, and Katy Perry! I heard enough of it! So now you hear my world, Diana, the voices of the people. They're happy. They're faithful. Why? Because they have heroes whose goodness inspires them, who keep evil at bay, who don't actually seem to fight crime, but they do hang out with children, I guess. Wonder Woman tries to get him to not believe whatever the One Who Laughs promised him, but Prime says he actually went to the Batman Who Laughs, not the other way around. He was freed from the Source Wall after Dark Knight's medal. Oh yeah, just BT dubs. He got imprisoned in the Source Wall at the end of the Teen Titans series that Jeff Johns had started. Honestly, a good conclusion to an otherwise mixed bag of a series. He knows the Darkest Knight's plan and wanted to guarantee at least one world where heroes remained in exchange for stopping the heroes here. Mind you, I don't know how that works considering this is supposed to be the alternate Infinite Crisis Earth. I don't know, maybe in this version Alexander Luthor won and Prime just killed him here. Except again, like with Crisis on Infinite Earths, any conclusion where Alex Luthor wins is one where there isn't a multiverse anymore. Just his idea of a perfect Earth. And let's face it, I'm doing the Superboy Prime voice for him here for consistency, but in reality, Snyder does not write him as an eternally angry, whining, unpleasable asshole the same way others did, so it feels a little off. I don't know, maybe being stuck in the source wall for a few reboots mellowed him out a bit. Things aren't going well for all the other heroes. The Flashes are beginning to run out of juice, while the Robin King taunts Harley Quinn and Swamp Thing, who I guess in the tie-ins did some weightlifting and jacked up a bit. Only thing I'll comment on here is that the Robin King pulls out a hammer, but calls it
The mallet she tried to kill me with on my world.
I don't know if the Robin King is just being flowery or if this was an artistic mistake, but a hammer is not a mallet. Anyway, they collapse a cave on him to slow him down, and Jarro reporting that he's lost contact with the Trinity. Diana continues to plead with Prime, but it's no good. He explains that the Darkest Night planned for all this. They left Wally exposed to attack, and he's the only one who could stop the villain. The Lantern's attempt to dismantle the antennae will still direct the crisis energy, and he's gonna be the one to collect it all. And I will direct all crisis energy to the one who laughs, and he will make these worlds real and lasting! Which, admittedly, in comic book time is only like 2 years, but that's an eternity for someone like me. You know, as a boy, I felt so lucky just to live in a time where you all walked the earth. These heroes who were the best of us. You fought bad guys and you won, and it was simple. I felt so lucky to be a boy living in the shadow of these idols. And then I killed the Golden Age Superman to death. Admittedly, that was my bad, but you all changed. Now, my purpose is to guard the essence of what you were. What you're supposed to be. I'm like some kind of gatekeeper. Yeah, no negative connotations with that word. The Anti-Monitor breaks down Batman into blocks as if he was a friggin' Scarlet Witch. Darkseid flings Superman into the pit, and Superboy Prime begins targeting the one who laughs with the power. Diana makes her big speech. Look, I'll admit it, you're right. We do have a history of ruining everything. I can't deny that. I'm not that far off, honestly. The world isn't what it used to be. But that's because the only constant out there, Prime, is change. To be alive is to be part of one connected system that's always changing. Matter is in constant motion. Life is ever cycling. It can be sad and hard. The answer isn't controlling it with anti-life or destroying it with antimatter. The answer isn't to hold back change. We have to accept it, engage it, while always staying true to ourselves. Look, this is a good speech and all, but I already sent the crisis energy at like the start of it, so you might want to wrap it up. We may look different. The challenges we face may be darker, but we're still hopeful. All of us. Good message. Problem is, this comic has already admitted that the constant reboots and all have been a terrible mistake that have only made things worse, so change hasn't always been something we should so necessarily embrace. Still, she asks him to picture an infinite multiverse, one where Prime can have his happy Earth, but they don't have to sacrifice others to make it, and it won't be the only one out there. They can all win together. Mind you, she's not stupid, so she's already broken free of the tower and the two struggle. She begs him to shatter the antenna and undo the failed crises and redirect the energy to Wally West in the Mobius chair. You talk about this endless multiverse, but all that means is that another world could destroy ours. That nothing would be safe. It'd all just be some shot in the dark. You're right. But isn't that all he is? What? Superman. All he is a shot in the dark. Superman! All he is a shot in the dark. And with that, the redemption of Superboy Prime as he switches sides. Well, not entirely. We'll get to that in a bit. Point is, they failed miserably anyway. Prime does destroy the tower and joins the Trinity on their return to the regular multiverse, redirecting the crisis energy to the Mobius chair, but the Darkest Night arrives, confessing that he had already rigged the chair to redirect the energy to him in case things went like this, so the villain does indeed have the power to take on Perpetua, ending issue 4 by introducing them to his nightmare universes. The last 52. Still, they changed Wally's costume back to normal, and he doesn't have the stupid Dr. Manhattan thing anymore, so let's look on the bright side. Okay, the blue wasn't bad on him, would have kind of made him look unique as the Flash with that as long as he didn't have the Watchmen connection. Issue 5 begins with the Robin King taunting Wonder Woman about how he killed her in his universe, And frankly, that's his big problem. He kind of took the role the Batman Who Laughs had in Metal. He just talks a whole bunch about how evil and depraved he is, but we don't see it much in the actual story. Which admittedly is for the best anyway, because I don't need to see gore and ultra-violence in my event comics, even the ones I like. Anyway, the Darkest Night pulls him away.
You can kill them soon enough. I have no reason to take you with me and no reason to keep him from just killing you now, but I'm kind of an idiot. Bye!
He orders Castle Bat to hold off our heroes until he's done, which it turns out is actually Gotham City itself infused with Batman's consciousness, making it more like Metroplex from the Transformers. They fail to defeat it, but rescue comes in the form of Lex Luthor flying the Legion of Doom headquarters, offering our heroes sanctuary within it. Perpetua, meanwhile, is confronted by the Darkest Night.
Humans. All I ever wanted was to see you strong, immortal. Screw all the other species in the universe, only humans are special. To see you in my service become the universe's predators rather than its prey.
If that's what you want, I should be your favorite son. I mean, I am here to kill you and your whole race.
Sometimes you can just never make your parents proud of you. Sad, really. Lex tells the heroes how the One Who Laughs is planning on killing them all once he's done with Perpetua and building his own nightmare realities after. Luthor has a plan to stop him, though. After the events of Dark Knight's Metal, the Monitor hid the 10th metal away on different levels of reality in order to keep it from being abused. Lobo, with his unique regenerative abilities, was one of the only ones who could retrieve it. Obviously, the 10th metal isn't strong enough to stop either Perpetua or the Darkest Night, but it's still a metal, a material with unique properties because it was from the Forge of Worlds. Luthor wants to build a machine that will reveal the truth. Ever since Perpetua was first locked away, key truths of our universe and our history have been hidden from us. Throughout time, at special moments, men and women have invented machines to seek the truth, to peer into the heart of reality, however terrifying. In these past months, I have designed one such machine.
Luthor, these are just blueprints for a Roomba.
The truth of the Roomba shall set us free. But no, he wants them to use the metal to go to the Forge of Worlds and make this machine. In his opinion, crisis energy isn't gonna stop their foes. It comes from fear, anger, and selfish desires to make the present more important than any other time in history. What they need is anti-crisis energy, the opposite that unites people through memory and history, reminding us we are all small, but part of one epic story. God damn it, this is so goofy and meta, but I absolutely love this. So I've talked before about this. To me, continuity in superhero comics is not bad. The fact that DC and Marvel have had ongoing continuities for decades and decades does not need to be a bad thing. As long as you allow for easy jumping on points, status quo times when you can tell good stories but aren't bogged down by minutia related to past continuity that allow new readers to start reading, and hey, you can explain the context to them by either making back issues easy to acquire or telling it in the story, it's perfectly okay. Remember that I got into comics thanks to a big crossover miniseries involving dozens of characters I'd never heard of and relying on continuity that they explained in the story. And anti-crisis energy is the personification of that. By making the reboots a part of the history itself, this story has turned DC's attempts to start over again into just the next chapter of the ongoing story. And some will scoff at this, myself included, that this is masturbatory and in many ways a hindrance. And yet at the same time, it does show that all these stories mattered. All these people mattered. That we're not just tossing away the continuity that came before, but building on it in a roundabout way. Sure, I'm gonna dislike reboots and retcons instead of letting us have the next chapter, the next part of the narrative, because it feels like a step backwards for how things should work, but I appreciate that this story is trying to sweep away that kind of mindset with something more positive. That it's still all the DC universe, still all of DC's history, and it all matters. So what is Luthor proposing? Well, if crisis energy wipes away connections and memories and instead cares only for the moment, then anti-crisis energy will restore those connections and restore everyone's memories of everything. They'll remember every iteration of themselves, pre-crisis, post-crisis, New 52, Rebirth, etc. They'll remember all of it. Now, we'll get into the implications of all that later, but the anti-crisis energy should be stronger than crisis energy. Wonder Woman objects to that she had tried to use anti-crisis energy back in the Justice League stories, and it had failed. But Luthor makes her realize that Perpetua was lying to her about it and making her hesitate, giving her an opening to regroup. Anti-crisis energy won't undo anything, it'll just be the next new beginning of something different. The truth is that they need to stop fearing the future. As such, she has Batman and Superman admit their own truths that they had hinted at back on New Apokolips. For starters, Batman is dead. Has been for a while. It's what allows him to use the Black Lantern ring. As for Superman, his cells are changed permanently. There's no going back to being fully himself again. However, both are ready to fight for whatever comes next. Mind you, I'm not sure why these revelations would somehow change things for her. Wendy would be sad that that's the case, but she's also practical enough to know that some things just gotta get done, and hey, it's not like these two haven't been dead or changed before. She admits her mistake.
Whatever reality we made, no matter how bright, would be built out of a desire to control its shape. We can't restart everything our way, and we can't go back to the past. That is the destiny of the angry video game nerd, and we shall not interfere with that.
Still, they need to stop the one who laughs before his multiverse can grow stronger, so they go on a recruitment drive. Villains, heroes, everybody needs to join in on this fight. Diana herself will go to the World Forge, accessed via the Rock of Eternity, as they did in Metal. Luthor hands her the design of his machine written in the final pages of Carter Hall's journal, also from Metal. It's the most thorough account of our shared history. Really? Because that looks kind of small for that. Or is this the abridged version? Wendy isn't going alone. See, there's another part of Lobo's regenerative abilities that she decides to take advantage of. Even a drop of spilled blood can restore Lobo to life. Or in this case, make duplicates of him.
All right, my main men, let's do this. To me, my main men.
So they need to get the Darkest Knight's attention and cut off his ability to make new worlds to fight them with. Thus, the next part of the plan: destroy Earth!
You magnificent bastard, I read your book!
To be fair, the plan is actually to just destabilize it. Earth is the core of their multiverse, so if they make it not so stable, then it will cut off power to the one who laughs. It succeeds, and the villain is forced to send all of his dark, twisted versions of heroes off to kill the heroes, while he continues the fight with Perpetua. Thus we reach our big final battle. The living and the dead, courtesy of Batman's Black Lantern ring, of the DC Universe against the twisted creations of the One Who Laughs, bringing us to issue 6. Unfortunately, while we get several group shots, none of them are quite on the level of a George Perez Crisis shot with, like, everybody on it, but I appreciate the effort of it anyway. One kind of prayer your Uncle Rock hears a lot is the plea for guidance, for wisdom or direction. Show me what to do out there, Lord.
Always, never forget to check your references.
While Wendy and the Lobos fight a personification of the Batman who laughs on the way to the Forge, Perpetua begins to lose the fight, though she warns the Darkest Knight that the hands will come as soon as they sense her death. Of course, that's exactly what he wants, so not much of a threat. In the Void, Lobo says Wendy needs to get to the Forge with the book already. He's willing to go down as long as it takes out the Darkest Knight, but then the book gets stolen. She arrives at the Forge to find Darkseid there with a baby anti-monitor.
The Forge dims by the moment. The creations of the One Who Laughs have no real souls. They have no hopes, no fears. They think only of winning. They're YouTube commenters.
Perpetua is finally defeated, the One Who Laughs encasing her in debris from the Source Wall.
No! All I wanted was to evolve your kind, to make you strong and oof!
I know what you wanted, but all you gods, you fail to understand us at our most fundamental level. Beings like you see humanity, see our dark instincts, and you try to save us! But the mistake all you make is thinking that we want to be saved, rather than unleashed. Sure, we're lactose intolerant, but we'll shove our faces into ice cream and devour it like we were ravenous beasts. The big secret, the truth is that in the end, it's you gods who want to be saved from us. So die knowing this. We look at you, all you who beg to our better angels, and we laugh. But not because of that, it's because we remembered this great Mitch Hedberg bit.
While the heroes were able to rout the initial forces of the One Who Laughs, with him having defeated Perpetua, he turns his attentions to the battle. He realigns the Earth and finishes construction of his nightmare multiverse, gathering them for round 2 of the fight.
Clark, I just want you to know that our friendship...
I know, brother.
No, what I was gonna say is that while our friendship might be irreparably damaged, I have to tell you that the long hair looks terrible on you. You look like Fabio if he dyed his hair black. If we die, please, for the love of the multiverse, cut it down first.
Diana doesn't know what to do. She never looked at the design of the machine, so she has no idea what to build. Darkseid tries to convince her that all evil springs from the idea that one life doesn't matter, and we're all tiny specks in the cosmos. No, you're wrong. It's only when we fear the truth that evil rises. To know that all history and every human life is part of one story is to know that we all matter, that everything we do matters, that truth connects us, because it is love, and it binds us together. Binds? Great Hera. Of course! I shall build a BDSM harness! No, of course she realizes that a machine that forces us to see the truth applies to her signature tool, the lasso of truth. And so she dips the lasso into the forge, and everyone in the battle suddenly can feel it. Their histories, their connections with each other, everything that makes them who they are and how they came to be. And Wonder Woman rises from the earth to fight the One Who Laughs head on, now in a golden form and wielding the chainsaw of truth. Okay, great stuff, but I still feel like she should be riding on a Triceratops for maximum effect like last time. And thus we reach the final issue. In between was the release of that one-shot I mentioned earlier that gave the final sacrifice and redemption of Superboy Prime. Jeff Johns co-wrote it with Snyder, so his dialogue and narration better matches the petulant child we've known over the years, but he ultimately rejects the One Who Laughs' attempts at making a deal, and he cuts him off from making any more Evil Earths for the fight. The problem is that it feels kinda rushed simply because, his redemption comes about because Crypto the Super Dog is nice to him. And hey, I love dogs and all, but it feels like a too little, too late kind of thing. Still, he is ultimately redeemed and is reborn on Earth Prime again for a second chance to not be a complete douchebag like before, and we'll take it. Farewell, Prime. May this Earth be everything that was better for you. Anyway, final issue.
As Diana rises from the earth, she suddenly sees everything with new eyes. She has been a god before, but at this moment, she's more.
Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Wonder Woman. Unfortunately, as she engages in battle with him, she can sense something bad. That even after all this, he's still somehow stronger than her. Still, strength ain't everything, especially when you can literally grab planets out of the sky and smash them into his gaping maw. Wonder Woman! All the world is waiting for you to use them as a blunt instrument. She saves the Titans for being yet another victim of an event comic, but the opening allows the Darkest Night to punch her through history until they're back in the time of dinosaurs. Ah, good, she can get that Triceratops now. The heroes continue their fights against their dark reflections, Wonder Woman seeing it all with her connective power, including Barry Allen now taking on an alternate Dr. Manhattan-infused Wally, leading to this exchange. You should have stayed dead, Barry. You're not Wally. You're just a bad idea. If this is the end, at least we can get in some last-minute pot shots against the terrible creative choices done to Wally. Good for you. Seeing all the forces of life and unlife, good and evil, united against this gives her some moral support, but she's still knocked back in time to the beginning of everything. The hand that created the multiverse, as depicted several times throughout DC history. Don't know if it was revealed earlier, but here it's said that this hand is in fact Perpetua, hence why her people are called the Hands. Don't know how I feel about that revelation. I mean, the implication has always been it's like the hand of God, but at the very least it's something mysterious and unknowable, but there's something disappointing to just learn, oh, it's just some powerful asshole and there are more like her. Remember when Krona's whole deal was wanting to learn the origins of the universe and it cursed him forever? Seems like someone should have just told him, hey, it's just some powerful being who did it, no biggie. Anyway, the One Who Laughs says that putting aside that he's more powerful than her, even if she was able to stop him, that just means they're in for another restart of the multiverse to start clean again. But, what's more, given the numerous times Earth has been at the center of the crises, the Hands are probably going to make sure they don't come back again. Using her powers, Diana is able to see the future and confirms he's right.
Even if they win, the hands will still undo them. Her friends, everyone. Poof. That fast. Consign them and all their stories to the dust.
Don't worry, Diana. We'll always have fan fiction. Yeah, I know that's probably not especially comforting given a lot of fanfic types out there. Things start getting worse for the heroes in the fight as the one who laughs delivers the final choice to Diana. Either she continues to fight him and the hands come along and erase everything, or she joins with him, kill the hands, and he'll grant her and her friends their own restored world. She refuses, even kicking Perpetua's hand into him. God, no wonder the DC universe is so messed up if that happened at the start of history. Diana realizes that the key to victory is to fight on even without any chance of winning. Not for the moment, but for the future, regardless of what that future will be. She punches him so hard they fly into the far future, to the end of existence, a death sun that absorbs everything and annihilates it, and she shoves the one who laughs right into it until he finally shuts the hell up. And then, the hands talk to her. She starts pleading with them to give them a chance to live on, the hands taking on the appearance of the Golden Age Wonder Woman, but it seems they've already decided to do that. Despite the DC Universe's tendency to not live up to the standards they've set forth, doing failed restart after failed restart, they're quite impressed that Diana was willing to fight on and save the hands, even knowing it would mean her and the undoing of all her kind. The multiverse will be restored, but just as Diana had done with the Lasso of Truth, all of their histories and stories will be remembered by everyone. There won't be any source wall or boundaries on them either. They're going to give this a try, see what comes of it, and what's more, Diana has to ascend to their level to help protect this new reality. She accepts. Hey, defeated the big bad, saved all reality, and you got a job offer. Sad thing is, you probably have to work on holidays now. Despite the claims to the contrary, everything is restored to normal, including Superman no longer dark-sided and Batman alive again. Superman gives a big speech about how he came from a planet where people couldn't come together when facing annihilation, but they accomplished it. Well, it's more like that nobody on his world believed that annihilation was coming, but potato potato. And so with the salvation of the world, party time! Everybody gets to attend, including supervillains. Feels like it'd be kind of awkward given some of these people may have killed or maimed some of the other party attendees, or that some of them are like the Joker who would kill them all with a bomb because he thought it was funny, but okay. And there's Batman on guitar.
In honor of so many supervillains being here and helping us save the world, I will play the music of evil people. Rock and roll!
Barry pulls Wally away to a floating space station on the dark side of the moon they're calling the Totality. In it, they're gonna try something different, letting heroes and villains work together to protect the world from future threats. Said villains include Lex Luthor, Talia al Ghul, and Vandal Savage. Wow, this seems like a terrible idea to be handing this to any one of these people who could very well be one of these future threats, but whatever. From what they can tell, things are definitely going to be weird from here on out. With all their past memories restored, alternate futures may crop up at some points, maybe even alternate pasts at that, and hypertime is even coming back, so expect flashes of, well, past, future, and present changing. What's more, they can't find Darkseid anywhere in the restored multiverse, and the restored multiverse includes many, many new multiverses, forming into an omniverse. This would lead into the next event and promotion in DC, Infinite Frontier. Their Earth is also no longer the center of the multiverse. They've detected some other Earth that's acting as a second center of reality. They're calling it the Elseworld. We don't know yet if it will contain a bearded idiot or a lot of morons who lost their powers and decided to worship Batman, but we'll see where it goes. And so our comic, and Event Comics Month, ends with Sergeant Rock writing down his final thoughts in Carter Hall's journal before he forgets it all. And still, I must ask the eternal question of that narration.
How did you know about the parts you weren't there for?
As I was saying, kiddo, before we end, if you take one thing from your pal Rock, let it be this. The fighting never stops. Why? Because the secret is, it's all just one battle, one war. But it's not between us and other people, it's between us and ourselves. Between who we are and who we hope to be. I hope to be a guy who kills Nazis, and I think that's a good thing to be. May we all see things through new eyes, just as Diana did. May we see that everything we do, every story, Mine and yours and theirs is ours, and it all matters. Always.
This comic is confusing, jam-packed with 1,000 ideas and metatextual references to DC and its long history, and is in no way accessible to someone who has never read a DC comic before. And honestly, I think it's pretty great. I think one of the problems with Metal that I had was that it was trying to act as a bridge between a much more logical, grounded DC universe and one that just embraces fun, out there, goofy, wild superhero comic concepts that don't make any sense. And I don't think it does that bridging very well. Death Metal, by contrast, is just all in on the ridiculousness. Basically, think of it as the difference between the original Mad Max, which is about a cop getting revenge for his murdered wife and child, and Mad Max Fury Road, a madcap chase movie featuring over-the-top stunts and action scenes with a frenetic directing style and almost cartoonish atmosphere at points. Both are good, but they're trying to do very different things, and one does what it's doing just a little better. I don't know if there's much more that I can say at this point about the book itself. It's fun, it's exciting, it's inspiring, and it tries to aspire to something better for the DC universe. It absolutely loves the DC universe, loves the events, loves the characters, and for the most part understands those characters. And hell, it's really nice that Wonder Woman actually got the spotlight here. Lord knows she needs an event where she's the main character that's good. Just you wait until you guys vote for me to do War of the Gods. I get why other people don't like it, while they'll have a much more frustrating time with it, but for me it was just an intensely wild ride that, like all the other event comics this month, had the problem of a few too many things in the tie-ins instead of the main miniseries, though not as much here. I don't know how much this is explored afterwards, but the big thing that came out of this was everyone having all their memories of their various reboots, and that seems like a terrifyingly awful thing. Yes, connections and respecting the past and blah, blah, blah. No, I mean psychologically, this seems like one of the most damaging things you can do to people. Because now everyone has conflicting sets of memories, events in your life that happen differently each time, but you vividly remember them all happening at once. Loves you had that are now unrequited, rivalries and hatreds rekindled from a past iteration, dead friends, resurrected friends, hell, people experiencing death but are now alive again. Like I said, I don't know if this ever goes explored, but this seems like a horrible thing to live with and not easily brushed aside, though I suspect they did. Otherwise, like I said, despite this being the event to end all events, this leads into Infinite Frontier and then Dark Crisis, so we'll see how those go eventually, since I know very little about them. All in all, it's a weird, wild book, but I'm glad I read it, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. Wait, why was Sergeant Rock the one narrating the story anyway? Next time, back to Patreon-sponsored reviews. And unfortunately, not a fun one for me either. It's time for the first 5 issues of Superior Spider-Man. The ancient Amazon fighting technique of talk to the hand.
Hello my friends, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon, buy merch from the store envy link in the description, or check out the t-shirts available from Teespring. Thanks for watching.